Also, I'm gonna maybe turn my lights down. Let's see. That's up. That's the wrong way. Do we feel good about that? I think I like that more. It's less harsh in my eyes, and hopefully you guys won't be like, no, it was so perfect a second ago. I'm sorry if you felt that way. This is what we're doing. Hi guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm pre-recording this video by almost a full week, so I hope I'm doing well at the time that this goes up. I will have just had my bachelorette weekend, so fingers crossed that was as much fun as I know it's gonna be. I'm so excited. So you can probably tell it's kind of dark in here today, darker than normal at least. I'm relying heavily on my ring light right now. I'm getting to filming way later than normal because I've had like a very intense writing day. It's been the last 2 months. For whatever reason this summer, just the writing kicked off, you guys. And I am like 100% on track to have the first like official redraft good copy ready by the end of July. Like possibly even while I'm filming this, possibly tonight. I may be done with it tonight. Which is just, that's if I really lose my mind. But my partner's also gonna be at work the entire day tomorrow, so possibly by tomorrow night. I'm losing my mind over it. I just can't. Secondary side note, if you're sleeping on The Summer I Turned Pretty, stop it right now. Stop it right now. Get on Amazon and watch that show. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. I don't have the books behind me anymore. Do you see that hole? Do you see that hole right there where there should be books? That's where those books were until last night when I started rereading because I'm preparing myself to go into season 2 and I'm terrified, okay? I'm so scared. They dropped the first 3 episodes of season 2 and I know what's gonna be in them and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Why would I subject myself to that level of pain before the rest of season 2 is out? So I was like, I'll just read the books. They were my all-time favorite like childhood book series. Outside of fantasy, you know I'm a fantasy channel, but I'm also a romance girly. I love when they intersect, but I'll read a good romance if it's meaningful, and those books, they did something to my brain chemistry. I'm just saying, so give it a chance if you haven't, because it's an emotional roller coaster that is currently destroying me from the inside out. We need to figure out something I can say for like the beginning of the bedtime stories, because that, I think we're leaning into that, okay? I'm telling you the story of the show, and especially for Once Upon a Time, it's quite literally a storybook, so we should figure something out that I can say there. I don't know, drop it in the comments. Let's workshop that together as a group, because I don't know. Episode 7 opens with our boy Graham in Granny's diner shooting darts, okay? With precision. Our man is shooting to kill, okay? He knows what he's doing. Emma runs into him and she's like, oh, I'm not talking to you. And he tries to get her to communicate with him and she's like, absolutely not. He has been drinking. So when she goes to leave, he shoots a dart that like goes past her head and hits the door, and she's like, what are you doing? You could have hit me. And he's like, I just want to talk to you. He's pitiful, okay? This man, sad and drunk, he is pitiful. He's like a little sewer rat. So he follows her outside to like insist that they talk things through, and she's like, buddy, I don't have anything to say to you. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. You don't have to explain anything to me. He proceeds to just trauma dump on her and be like, but I don't feel anything with Regina. I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't feel anything. And she's like, okay, so it sounds like you have a bad relationship and you should break up with her. He's like, I hate the way you're looking at me. This is why I didn't tell you sooner. And she's like, why do you even care what I think? And he kisses her. While they're kissing, he gets like a blast of visions and he sees all these flashes of like the enchanted forest and a wolf and him in the forest and knives, and he's so confused. Emma pushes him away and is like, excuse me, we don't kiss people without permission in this house. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm sorry. And remember, he's drunk and sad and pitiful, so he just starts freaking out even more, thinking that he's upset her because he did. He goes, I just want to feel something. something. And she says, well, you're not getting that from me. And then she storms off. Graham, then being a truly pathetic man, runs to Regina and kisses her. We get a flashback of the evil queen in her castle. She's like looking over the edge of a landing down into a room below, and there's a coffin down there. We see that Snow is dressed in mourning clothes and she's like laying a rose on the coffin. She says, goodbye, father. So we're like, oh, okay, Regina's husband, Snow's dad, just died. Uh-oh. Regina comes down though, and Snow turns to look at her, and Regina is like, I'm so sorry that this happened. I know that you loved him so much and he loved you. I'm mourning the loss of my husband, but you're mourning the loss of your father. If there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. And they hug. Then we hard cut to the queen going into her own chambers, and she's definitely evil. The mirror is like, congratulations, my queen. Your revenge is almost complete. So Regina killed Snow's dad, and now she's planning to kill Snow, but she's worried if she does it too quickly, then the kingdom will realize that she did it, and then she'll get in trouble and they'll kick her out of the castle, and she wants to be the evil queen of the kingdom. So she's like, they have to like me, I have to do this correctly, I have to be careful. I can't use myself, I can't use my magic, I can't use one of my own knights. I'm gonna have to hire help from elsewhere. The mirror is like, I know exactly what you need. You need to hire a huntsman. We cut to Graham in the woods hunting. He's looking a little Robin Hood-esque. But then he kills a deer, and our boy prays over it and thanks it for its life and cries. He sees a wolf, and it's got a red eye and a black eye, and it comes right up to him, and it's like clearly his friend, and he's like, don't worry, buddy, you won't go hungry tonight. So they're gonna eat the deer together. Then Graham wakes up in bed with Regina, and he's like, huh, I had a weird dream. And she's like, what happened? Lay back down, it's okay, don't worry about it. And he's like, no, there was a wolf, I was in the woods, I think I was hunting, something happened, I don't know, it was like a memory, it wasn't a dream. Regina is like, a memory, yeah, it sounds like you're really tired. Graham, it sounds like you need to come back to bed. Lay down, Graham. But he's like, no, absolutely not. I have to go get my car from Granny's. I'm leaving, goodbye. And he gets dressed and rushes out the door. He goes to get his car at Granny's and sees the damn wolf in the road. Emma wakes up at Mary Margaret's and comes downstairs to find flowers on the table. She throws them away, thinking they're from Graham to her. But Mary Margaret is there and she's like, actually, those are from Dr. Whale to me. I'm gonna throw up. You went from this to this? No. Miss Ma'am, no. There was no excuse. There was no excuse. So, yes, as disgusting as it is, she had a one-night stand with freaking Dr. Whale. And Emma is like, that's no problem. Like, do what you gotta do. I'm glad you had fun. And Mary Margaret's like, yeah, I guess, except she's not a one-night stand girly, she's a relationship girly. She does imply that Emma is a one-night stand girly. She's not wrong, but it gets a little awkward. Emma's like, is that a bad thing? And Mary Margaret's like, no, oh my God, no. And it's even funnier when you think about the fact that it's mother and daughter having that talk. I love anything to do with that group talking about relationships. Oh my God. Usually in fan fictions, people make David Emma's brother. So Mary Margaret and David will still be a couple, but then David, instead of the two of them being Emma's parents, because there's no way to make that make sense. They can't all be 28 in real life, okay? They'll just make David and Emma brother and sister, which is so accurate because once we get everybody together knowing who everybody is, he definitely gives protective older brother vibes. So I just want them to be together. I want to skip all of the weird fake dating, bad relationship stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it. Mary Margaret also reads Emma to filth because she says, you put those walls up and I know they're important to you and like they do their job because they keep out pain, but they also keep out love. So maybe give Graham a chance. He's a nice guy. Speaking of Graham, he's running amok in the woods looking for the wolf. He didn't find the wolf though. He does find Mr. Gold just suspiciously in the woods with an apron and rubber gloves and rubber boots. He tries to act like he's just gardening, but like, my guy, in the middle of the woods? I think not. Graham explains about how he saw the wolf in his dreams, and then he saw the wolf in the street, so he's looking for it. And Mr. Gold is like, you know what, Graham? Some people believe that dreams are memories from past lives. He's getting so bold. Back in the flashbacks, Graham takes his wolf with him to go to a tavern, and while he's there, there's like guards and other huntsmen and dudes with knives and swords and weapons that are drunk, and they're like making fun of him because they're just like, you cry when you kill animals, like, you're pathetic, nah, 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 nah. And Graham holds his ground and is like, yeah, I cry because animals have honor, and animals are freaking cool, okay? Humans suck. I don't care at all when I kill a human. I don't feel anything when I do that. When the men then attack him, Graham just kicks some serious ass. He protects himself and his wolf. The wolf doesn't even have to get involved in the fighting. He's standing over the bodies, the winner, and we see in a broken shard of glass that like happened in the room he's in, it turns into a mirror, and Regina is watching him, and she's like, yes, he's perfect. That's who I want. Graham is still running through the woods looking for his wolf friend. He finds it, and he's like, what is it you want? What do you want from me? And the wolf is like, oh, you don't remember me? And it goes to walk away. Graham whistles. It comes right up to him. And when he pets it, he gets more memories. This leads Graham to go look for Mary Margaret because he's getting flashes of being the huntsman that was sent after Snow White. So he goes to see her at school, and he tells her that he's pretty sure they know each other, like from a past life. She's a little spooked. Thank God Henry prepared her for this, because like, can you imagine just being a teacher, working your normal job? The sheriff comes in, he's a friend of yours, he's strung out and looks like he hasn't slept in 6 days, smells terrible, and then he tells you, I know you from a past life. You'd be horrified. In the flashbacks, Graham is brought to the queen. She is looking gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous in this red velvet gown. Are we kidding? Look at the detailing on this. So much money went into her clothes. I know it did. I know the amount of budget they had just on Regina's clothes. And it was worth it. It was worth it. She needs somebody that can kill without caring about the kill, because all of her knights and most of the kingdom are obsessed with Snow White. So anybody she gets to do it is gonna like fall for Snow White being Snow White. So she's like, I need somebody who doesn't like humans. And that's you, my boy. You don't like humans at all. But Graham is kind of like, yeah, I don't think I want to work for you, dude. So then she says, well, what can I give you if you don't want riches? And he says, can you make it illegal to hunt the wolves? Can you protect them? She agrees, and he's like, yeah, okay. Who do you want me to kill? So Graham and Mary Margaret are talking, and he's having a really hard time because he's like, have we met before? Why don't we know when we met each other? Why don't we have memories of like pre-Storybrooke? Why don't we have memories of our families? What's going on? So she's kind of just like, you know, I don't know, Graham. People forget how they meet. It's normal. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Don't be freaked out. He then asks, have I ever hurt you? And she's like, no, Graham, what are you talking about? What is this about? He brings up the past lives again, and she's like, oh, you've been talking to Henry. And he's like, about what? And she explains, well, you know how he believes we're all from a fairy tale world, and we got dropped here and we're under a curse, and that's why we don't know who we really are. Like, that's what Henry's idea is. And he's just like, oh, yeah, haha, that does sound silly. Okay, never mind. And he quickly leaves. We cut to the huntsman, now disguised as a guard, leading Snow White through the forest. He's taking her to like the summer palace. She's being really sweet to him, like her normal self. He's a little unnerved by this because he definitely was planning on just killing her and getting it over with. And now she's like super chatty, super kind, not what he expected her to be. So she figures out he's not really a guard, because she's like, you don't know how to wear your armor. You're clearly uncomfortable in it. You're hot. Like, you've never worn this stuff before. Also, all of my father's men have told me they were sorry he died, and you've like barely said anything to me. So he's just kind of looking at her like, oh my God, you're kind and intelligent? I didn't know humans could be both. She puts it together that the queen picked him to take her so that he would kill her, and she just takes off running through the forest. He's like, I'm a good tracker. I'll be able to find you. She's like, not if you can't outrun me, because he's in the clunky, awful armor, so he's struggling. Emma's at the police station working. Regina shows up, and Emma makes it clear that she knows why Regina would be looking for Graham because she's aware of their relationship. So now Regina's pissy about Emma and Graham too, like she's jealous of her left and right. Once again, Regina is like, what's it like to be a lonely loser? Like, are you just jealous that I'm with Graham? Because she's lashing out. And Emma is like, yeah, how I live my life is really none of your business. It's weird that you're so concerned. Regina gets all intense and evil queenie, and she's like, you need to stay away from Graham because you're putting thoughts in his head and you're sending him down a path of self-destruction. Graham goes to see Henry about the book, and he's like, I know about your storybook. Am I in it? And Henry is so damn excited. This is the day this little boy has been waiting for. This is like Christmas for him. In the flashback, Snow is like kind of tucked up in a tree, writing a letter frantically, and the huntsman walks up to her and he's like, girl, I'm chasing you, and you stopped to write a letter? And she's like, I was never gonna outrun you. You know the woods way better than I do, but I need this letter to go to the queen after you kill me. Like, can you promise me you'll give it to her? He reads the letter and starts to cry. Then he draws his knife to carve out her heart and brings it down and cuts a little bit off of like a tube plant that's next to her. He turns it into a whistle and he's like, use this when you need it. It will bring you aid. Run. And she takes off. Henry shows Graham the book and he's like, so when did the flashes start? Like, what happened? And Graham is like, oh, well, they started right after I kissed Emma. And Henry's like, you kissed my mom? It's so funny. Henry explains that Graham must be getting his memories back from his original life because he's connected to Emma. So that bond between the two of them is what is helping her release his curse. Because if Graham had killed Snow like he was supposed to, Emma wouldn't be alive. Henry says that after he didn't kill Snow White, Regina took his heart so that he would never be weakened by emotion again and he'd never be able to feel anything, which is exactly what Graham's been struggling with. She put it inside her vault, which is this like creepy vault situation where she keeps all of her victims' hearts. And that was in his dream and the wolf was howling at it. So Graham's like, I gotta find that place. Outside the house, Emma catches up to Graham and she's like, what's going on? You look terrible. Why are you talking to Henry? Like, you're taking advice from a 10-year-old now, buddy? I think you need a nap. Graham is like, you don't understand. Henry is the only one making any freaking sense. He explains that he's got to find his heart and the wolf from his dreams is going to lead him there. So he does sound a little crazy, but then Emma sees the wolf behind him and he takes off running after it and she follows. The wolf leads them to the cemetery and to the Mills vault, which looks exactly like the vault from his dreams. In the Enchanted Forest, it's like attached to a room in Regina's house, but here it's kind of like a crypt shape, you know, like think like the above ground, like mausoleum style things. So inside, he's like, that's where the hearts are. Emma agrees to help him break in just so she can be like, broski, your heart's not in there. Graham brings the queen the letter and makes her read it. She does, and it's basically Snow being like, I understand why you'll never forgive me. Like, I know I hurt you. I'm so sorry for what I did. Now that you finally killed me, I hope that that can be the end to your revenge and you can lead my father's people the way that they need to be led, with compassion and kindness and a gentle hand. I forgive you. The queen is like, oh, this little bitch, and she burns the letter. Graham wants to know what the heck Snow did, and Regina is like, I shared a secret with her and she couldn't keep it, and that cost me dearly. Graham gives her a fake heart and she takes it and goes into her vault with it. This is what the hearts look like in Once Upon a Time. Usually they glow. The one that Graham gives her though is just like plain, like a clear red instead of the glowy red that you see right here. And another note on the hearts, if they're removed correctly with magic, you don't die. So the queen has a spot in the wall where Snow's heart's supposed to go. So when she tries to put it in there, it won't open. And she's like, what the heck is going on? It should open. If this is her heart, it would open. So she knows Graham is lying. Inside the cemetery vault, they don't find anything. It's just a normal mausoleum with like candles on the walls and her father's coffin in the middle of the room, and that's it. So Emma's like, yeah, buddy, see, I told you there were no hearts in here. Graham is searching for a secret passageway, but he can't find one. Then Regina shows up and catches them. She immediately blames Emma, and Graham is like, no, this is my fault. I wanted to break in here. Like, I wanted to look for something. And Regina's like, okay, clearly you're struggling. Let's go home. Let me take you home. Graham is having none of it, and he's like, actually, we're done, Regina. Things have to change. I want to feel something, and I don't feel anything for you, okay? So we're done. It's over. And she's like, this is because of Emma. And he's like, I'm not leaving you for Emma. I'm leaving you for myself. He'd rather have nothing than settle for less. And nothing is better than what he has with Regina. Ah! That's so cold. Oh my God. Emma is just standing there like, 10 out of 10, no notes. This is incredible. Regina's pissed and turns on Emma and is like, are you happy now? You're taking everything I love away from me. And Emma is like, I'm not doing anything. Did you ever think that maybe Henry wants to hang out with me and Graham kissed me because they don't like you? Because both of them were miserable with you. So then Regina punches Emma in the face and they get in a full brawl, like just boom, 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 punching each other, and Graham has to like hold them apart. Back at the station, Graham apologizes to Emma for getting her involved in the craziness of the day and like getting wrapped up in Henry's stories. He's helping her clean up her like little cut that she has because Regina punched her in the face. Regina goes into the crypt and moves her father's coffin and reveals a hidden staircase. This next flashback is rough, okay? The queen realizes that Graham was lying to her, and he's like, Snow didn't deserve to be killed. I couldn't do it. And she's like, your emotions made you weak. And she snatches out his heart. Then she kisses him and says, you're mine now, my pet. Like, when I tell you I hate this scene, she puts his heart in a box and is like, now you'll do everything I say. Forever. And if you don't, all I have to do is squeeze. When she tightens her grip on the heart, it causes Graham, who's panicking, like physical pain, and it feels like he's dying. Then she has the guards take him away to her bedchamber. Like it's giving Amarantha and Rhysand, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I forget these little details. But like, it's gonna be hard for me to come back from that, Regina. That was a choice you made that I wish you wouldn't have made. Anyway, back in Storybrooke, we see Regina with her walls of hurt boxes. Graham finishes helping Emma, and then she smiles at him and kisses him, and they're both so into it. It's so cute. He gets all of his memory flashes back, so now he completely knows who he is. He got everything back. We cut to Regina holding Graham's heart in her hands. He smiles at Emma and says, I remember. He's crying. He thanks Emma and goes to kiss her again. Regina crushes his heart into dust. So Graham collapses and Emma starts freaking out and trying to wake him up, and Regina is in the crypt crying. I don't got any time for her tears. Yeah, Graham is dead. We go back to Emma trying to wake Graham up, but no, he's dead. We lost him. Graham's gone. Also, side note, did y'all know this is Christian Grey? Like from 50 Shades of Grey? Because I did not until I did some Googling to find out where this man was from because I couldn't place his accent. He's Irish, by the way. That's Christian Grey. Excuse me? So after that, we open with Rumple back in the Enchanted Forest, except he doesn't look like Rumpelstiltskin. He looks like Mr. Gold, so like human Rumple. Just chilling in a house in the Enchanted Forest. His son comes running into the room. That's right. Rumple has a son. He's like, Papa, Papa, they're taking so-and-so. And Rumple jumps up. He's got his cane still in this life, okay? We haven't really talked about that. Mr. Gold walks with a cane, okay? Rumpelstiltskin does not, but Mr. Gold does, and human Rumple does, okay? Take from that what you will. Yeah, basically the Queen's Guard are there, and they're taking children from the village to inscript them into the Ogre Wars. They're waiting for them to turn 14, and then they're snatching them from their houses. The parents of this little 14-year-old child that's being kidnapped and aggressively like manhandled by the male guards that are grown men. And then there is somebody off in the distance with a big hood on that's called the Dark One, and he uses magic and like almost kills the parents so the guards get away. Rumple's son is terrified because his birthday's in 3 days, and then he will be snatched. Emma goes over to see Mr. Gold. he called her over because he wanted to express condolences about Graham's death that just shocked everybody. Emma's like, yeah, thank you. Also, what are you working on? It stinks in here, because he's like turning like sheepskin and oil into something. He's like messing with something at his desk and it's stinky. Gold is like, yeah, so about Graham dying, you know, it's been 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks of acting as sheriff means you get to be the sheriff. You know that, right? Emma says yes, but she just hasn't put the badge on yet. Gold says that Graham rented an apartment from him, so he's got his personal things, and he's like, nobody else wants them. Do you want anything? Maybe his jacket, something else? Emma ends up accepting the walkie-talkies because Gold is like, children are precious, you could use these with Henry, I bet he would love them, like, you've got to take care of your boy, you've got to make sure he's happy. He makes a comment about how children are precious, and before you know it, they're gone. Henry's at his play castle by the beach, and Emma comes to him and brings him the walkie-talkies. Henry is very upset, and he's been avoiding Emma because of what happened to Graham, because Henry knows that the evil queen, his mother, did the killing. So he's like, she killed Graham because Graham was good and you're good, and so she's gonna try to hurt you, and I just think we should stop Operation Cobra, we should give up because I don't want you to get hurt and I'm too scared. And he leaves, and Emma doesn't know what to say, because on one hand, Regina is pretty scary and she's definitely doing some shady stuff, but Emma also doesn't think that Regina killed Graham. She just thinks like it's all weird coincidences, but she's having a hard time making them add up. At the station, Emma is gonna put on Graham's badge, and then Regina comes in and is like, that's not yours. And Emma's like, there's a rule that says after 2 weeks, I'm allowed to be sheriff. It's been 2 weeks. Regina's like, unless the mayor appoints somebody in your place, and I'm appointing Sidney Glass. Yeah, the newspaper guy, because that makes sense. So Emma's just like, are you insane? Like, can you really not just admit that since I got here, things have been getting better? And Regina fires her. So Emma goes to the loft and starts drinking and blasting rock music, and Mary Margaret comes home to find her having a fight with the toaster. Mary Margaret's honestly just excited that Emma is so passionate about the fact that she lost her job, because she hasn't seen Emma get this excited or this attached to anything since she's been with her. Gold shows up and says that he thinks that what Regina just did was an injustice. He's like, 2 people with a common enemy can accomplish a lot, Miss Swan. And he offers to be her benefactor. Then he brings out a giant binder that's the copy of the town charter, and he's like, I don't think the mayor has as much authority as she thinks she has. And Emma is just like, this is incredible, tell me more. In a flashback, we see Rumple taking his son, his name is Balefire, this is him. This is Balefire. Rumple calls him Bay a lot. Most people do. So Rumple is taking him away in the middle of the night to run and hide from the guards. They pass a beggar in the street asking for change, and Rumple gives him money. Even though Rumple and Bay clearly don't have a lot themselves, he still goes out of his way to help that guy. Then some guards show up on the road with them, and it's the sketchy one that took the little girl. The guards tease Balefire about how his dad's a coward, and that's why his wife left him, and he ran away from the war, so he's a loser. Then the guards try to take Balefire anyway, because it's like 24 hours until his birthday, and they make Rumple kiss their boots so that they won't take him away, and Rumple does it even though he's like shaking, trembling, crying. He's having like a horrible time. He gets down on the ground. Remember, Rumple has a hurt leg, okay, so he has to like hobble down to the ground and then like kiss the boot and then get back up, and before he can get back up, the guard freaking kicks him. But then the beggar comes up to him and he's like, it's okay, I promise I won't hurt you. If you'll just feed me what you can, I think I can help you. I think I can be your benefactor. Regina holds a freaking press conference to appoint Sidney as mayor, but then before she can pin the badge on him, Emma shows up. Regina tries to be like, this is so inappropriate, get out of my office, but Emma is like, you don't have the authority to just appoint somebody. You can suggest a candidate, and that's fine if you want it to be Sidney. I'm running against him. There is so much tension in this scene. Okay, it's scenes like this that make me understand the Swan Queen fandom, okay? I get it. I see what you guys saw, and I fully agree. There was a missed opportunity here for Henry to end up with 2 moms, okay? I'm just saying. So the old man and Rumple are together, and Rumple is freaking out because he's the town coward, he's friendless, he doesn't have anybody, he can't run, they don't have time now with his leg being hurt, he's not gonna get very far with Bay, so he doesn't know what to do because the guards are gonna come and they're gonna take Bay away from him, and then he's not gonna have anything at all, and what's the point? When I tell you guys that Robert is acting with every piece of his entire body in this episode, he's so good, okay? He's so good. I will probably gush every time there's scenes like this with him because my man plays like 4 to 5 different versions of the same 2 characters. It could not be any better. He's so good. He's so good. The old man explains that all Rumple needs to take care of himself and his son and have everything he wants is power. Rumple's like, where am I gonna get power? The old man is like, the Dark One only works for the Duke because the Duke has his dagger and it keeps him enthralled. But if you had the dagger, you could control the power. Rumple is like, I am much too afraid to be in charge of that much evil, okay? Not gonna happen. So the old man is like, if you kill the Dark One, you become the Dark One. And Rumple is like, now that could work. Regina goes to see Gold because she knows that he helped Emma with the loophole situation and she's pissed. They get in a nice back and forth where it's very clear that lines have been drawn and they are on opposite sides of the town war because it's giving Captain America Civil War vibes. Emma runs into Henry again and now he's like really awkward with her and he shows her the paper he's reading and it's a story that Sydney wrote about Emma having Henry in jail. She's shocked because those records were supposed to be sealed, but she admits to him that yes, she got in trouble while she was pregnant, and so technically she had Henry in jail. He's upset, but more so at the fact that Emma didn't get the chance to tell him herself and like explain it herself. He's like, my mom fights dirty and you're never gonna be able to beat her because this is the kind of stuff she's willing to do, okay? She's terrible, she's the evil queen. You're not gonna win. But Emma is like, don't worry, I'm working with Mr. Gold now. And Henry is even more upset. He's like, you have to stop agreeing to give him favors, Mom. Emma goes to Regina and is like, I would like to know right now how you got these records because I was a juvenile, okay? It's illegal that you know this information. Emma also points out the stress and trauma this is inflicting upon poor little 10-year-old Henry, but Regina is like, oh my God, he's fine. He's my son. I know what he can handle. They're arguing while they go down the stairs, and Regina is just kind of like, Miss Swan, I don't have time for this, okay? If you want to get in an argument, you can do all the arguing you want when we have the town debate, okay? And Emma's like, that's what I'm saying I don't want to do. I don't want to keep fighting with you. We're just putting fire on fire right now. And when Regina opens the door, the outside office area is on fire. And I'm talking like explosive fire that knocks Regina down and hurts her ankle. So Regina can't get up. And she's like, help, what are we gonna do? And Emma is just standing still up above her on the stairs looking down at her. And there's this moment of just like, what are we gonna do, Emma? Are we gonna burn Regina alive? In the flashbacks, we see Rumple and Bay preparing to attack the castle. They need to burn the wooden parts of it down. The stone structure will be fine, but they're gonna light a fire on like the roofs and the rafters, and that way it'll cause a distraction and Rumple will be able to sneak in. Bay's pretty scared about the dagger part, but Rumple is convinced that this is the only way he's going to be able to keep them safe, and he promises Bay that if he can just get the dagger and have the Dark One's power, everything will be fine. We also learn a bit more about the Ogre War, okay? Basically, the kingdom's losing this war, and they're just grabbing all the people, specifically like the poor people, the farmers and stuff, and they're just like all dying. So they're taking children, they're taking older people, they're just taking anybody they can get and just sending them to fight, knowing that they're not gonna make it. So Rumple was there, knowing that he had a son back home, he was watching all his friends die, and he just couldn't take it. So he was like, no, I am leaving. So Rumple did run away from the war, and then when he got home, the wife left. Bay is like, you told me Mom was dead though, and Rumple is like, she is. So that's a little confusing. We'll come back to it though. And oh man, I can't wait to come back to it. I can't wait to come back to it. Oh my God, I can't wait. The fire is happening still. Emma saves Regina though. Don't worry. So she gets Regina out And then outside, Sydney's there with the newspaper people. The fire trucks have been called, so people are arriving. Townspeople are freaking out. So everybody sees Emma carry Regina out of the office, and they're like, oh my God, Emma, you're a hero. You saved the mayor. So her friends that are gathered are like, this is the perfect thing for the campaign. We're gonna take these pictures. We're gonna make you posters. This is perfect. This is gonna work. And Emma is all excited, and she tells Henry, see, good can win. It's possible for good to win. But then she finds the sheep's wool, like oil situation that Mr. Gold was messing with in the beginning of the episode. And she's like, oh no. So Emma runs to Mr. Gold, and he just completely blows it off. He's like, what do you mean I've been right here at my shop? You think I can run that fast, Emma? No, I can't. She's like, why would you do this? It's so dangerous. And he goes, if I did it, it would be because I know you can't win without doing something big. And what's bigger than being the hero of a big town fire? Emma is disgusted, and she's like, I can't be a part of this anymore. And he's like, okay, expose me, girl. Think about what you'll be exposing and what exactly you'll be walking away from. He's so scary, okay? Rumple is scary because he's very unhinged, and you don't know what he's gonna do, and the power gets to his brain and makes him a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But Mr. Gold, this man's in the mafia. This man's killed countless people. This man doesn't care about you at all, and he'll tell you that to your face. Stone cold killer right here. So back in the flashbacks, we see Rumple get into the castle. The fire plan worked. He finds the dagger. Mary Margaret is putting up flyers for Emma. She runs into David, who's putting up flyers for Sydney because his wife is friends with Regina. He got a job working at the animal shelter, which is so cute because our boy is a shepherd. Before they can really get to talking, she runs off because being around him is just too painful. Archie is running the debate, and pray for him. Guys, he is struggling. Emma is also really nervous because everybody in town keeps talking about how she's a hero, but she doesn't feel like one, and she doesn't know if she can win. Mary Margaret pushes her, and we find out that Emma is so nervous about not winning because if she doesn't win, then Henry won't believe that good can win, and if Emma can't be that hero figure to him, what part does she have in his life? So Rumple got the dagger, and he calls on the Dark One. The Dark One shows up and is like, use the power wisely. And then he pushes Rumple into killing him. And then when Rumple does, we see that the Dark One is actually the old man that put the idea in Rumple's head in the first place. He starts to laugh, and he tells Rumple, looks like you made a deal you didn't fully understand. I bet you won't do that again. Then he says magic always comes with a price, and now it's yours to pay. He dies, and then Rumple's skin gets all scaly and shiny, and the Dark One dagger now reads his name. Archie opens the debate and tells everybody to vote with their conscience, and boy does Regina hate that. She's so annoyed. Sydney says that if he's elected, he wants to serve, focusing on the town values: honesty, neighborliness, and strength. Regina, did you write those yourself? Because it was a lie. Emma gets up there, and at first she tries to talk about how, yes, she has a troubled past, but everybody's overlooked it because of the hero situation. But she can't win in a way that is dishonest. It's just not gonna happen. So she admits that Mr. Gold started the fire in order to like make her look good, and she's like, I did not ask him to, it was not my idea, and I'm not going to be threatened by him into keeping quiet about it, okay? I'm sorry that it happened, and if I could change it, I would. Mr. Gold just gets up out of the auditorium and leaves, and everybody's like, oh, Mr. Gold did what? And they're like all freaking out. So then Emma is drinking at the diner, and Henry comes in, and he's all excited, and he gives her the walkie-talkie. He says, it's so amazing that you stood up to Mr. Gold. That's what heroes do. So then Regina comes in with Sydney and gives Emma the sheriff's badge, and she's like, congratulations, Miss Swan. I guess people liked the idea of a sheriff who's brave enough to stand up to Mr. Gold. Everyone comes in to celebrate, and Regina leans over and whispers to Emma that she didn't make a good choice when she picked Mr. Gold for a friend, but he does make a fantastic enemy. Good luck with that. In the flashbacks, it's now Bay's birthday, and he's being taken by the guards, but the Dark One shows up and just starts killing the guards. The main guard that's been so terrible the whole time realizes it's Rumple, and Rumple's like, why don't you kiss my boot and see if I'll forgive you? The guard does it, and Rumple kills him anyway. This scene is so good, okay? But Bay is obviously terrified Because who is this man? This is not the same father he had the day before. But Rumple is like, I'm not afraid. I protected what belongs to me. I'm not scared of anything. Emma moves her stuff into Graham's office and finds his jacket hanging on the hook by the door. Mr. Gold comes in and he's like, I just felt like maybe you would want it. She's like, aren't you mad at me? And he says that he actually planned the entire thing. He set the fire up. He knew Emma would catch him. He knew Emma would not be able to do that and knew that Emma would turn on him. And then he's like, the whole town may be scared of Regina, but they're even more scared of me. So he knew that her doing that would make the town be like, oh, hell yeah, she's gonna stand up to Gold. We're voting for her. That's our sheriff. Emma's just like, but why? What was the point? Mr. Gold is like, well, you already owed me a favor. Now that you're sheriff, I'm sure we'll find some way for you to pay me back. All right, so episode 9, we see Henry in the grocery store reading a comic book. An older girl named Ava starts talking to him. She's like, you're Henry, right? How are you? How are you doing? Do you want to hang out with me and my brother? Her brother is like running around behind Henry. And then he's like, hey, we gotta go. We're gonna be late. And she's like, come on, Henry, let's go play. They go to leave and the clerk stops them at the door and grabs Henry's bag. And he's like, what's going on? What happened? The clerk is like, don't think I didn't see you stealing. And Henry's like, but I didn't take anything. But the clerk finds stuff in Henry's bag. Henry is a smart little boy, so he's like, oh my God, Ava, that's why you were talking to me. You were just letting your brother hide stuff in my bag. We cut to this guy chopping trees in the enchanted forest. Those same 2 kids come running up to him. He is their dad. He sends them off on an errand and gives them a compass so that they don't get lost. These guys are Hansel and Gretel. So yes, you should be concerned. They come back from their errands in the woods and their father is missing. They hear a man kind of like call out and go running after the voice. They end up nearly getting run over by the Queen's Guard on the road and the compass gets broken. Regina gets out of the carriage and she's like, what are you doing in my forest? So the clerk brings Regina in and is just like, yeah, Miss Mills, I'm so sorry, but Henry was stealing. Regina looks at the candy and is like, well, Henry doesn't eat sweets, so I know it wasn't him. We're leaving. Emma shows up to investigate and Regina's like, it was those 2 little twerps over there. I'm taking Henry and we're going. The kids have a disconnected phone number that they gave Emma. And when Emma is like, why'd you guys give us a fake phone number? Ava's like, it's not fake, but our parents can't afford to keep it on. Emma realizes that they're just trying to make ends meet, and if she arrests them, it's just gonna make everything worse. In the flashbacks, Regina tries to snatch the kids up, but Gretel has a freaking slingshot in her bag, and she whips that out and starts fighting the guards and Regina. They run off, but Regina is a magic wielder, as we know, so she gets them. She pins them down onto the ground, like she sends vines from the forest floor, and they get the kids and pin them to the ground. Literal children, okay? She thought that was necessary. She says they're foolish for thinking they could beat her, but also brave. If they'll help her with a task, she will free their father and forgive him because cutting down trees in the forest is a crime. Emma drives the kids home to a very fake looking house. Emma tells them about her superpower. You know how she can tell when people are lying? And she leans back into the back seat of the car and she's like, tell me the truth. Is everything okay at home besides the money stuff? They say yes. And she's like, all right, go home. They go running inside and she drives off. So no, things are not all right at home. The kids break into the backyard of the house and then go into the basement where they've been secretly living. They hear someone upstairs, and when they go up to investigate, it's Emma, because of course it is. Emma's like, why did you lie to me? Where are your parents? And Ava goes, we don't have any. So Emma takes the kids home with her to Mary Margaret's loft, and Mary Margaret had no idea. These are kids from her school. She had no idea they didn't have parents. She's like, nobody seems to realize that. Their mom died, and nobody really remembers that happening either. We don't know where the father is. Emma didn't call social services because she knows the system isn't going to be of any freaking help. So she's thinking she needs to find their father quickly before anybody realizes what's going on. Emma goes to the courthouse to get the kids' files to find out who their dad is, but the documents have already been removed. Yes, Regina took them and she already called social services, and now the kids are going to get taken and split up at 2 different homes in Boston. There was no record of the kid's dad listed on the birth certificates, so Regina was literally just like, oh well, I guess we have to ship them off. In the flashbacks, the evil queen is taking the kids to the house of the blind witch, and she's like, I need you to get inside and I need you to get something for me, and then we'll be all set and I'll find your father for you and he'll be forgiven and everything will be good to go. She says they need to wait until the witch is asleep, and above all else, they should not eat anything, no matter how much they want to. Then we see the house, and it's the gingerbread house from the story. The little brother is way too excited about the candy. Emma's trying to figure out who the heck the dad is because she has like 24 hours before Regina is forcing her to take the children to Boston. So she's panicking, trying to find the dad. Henry comes over and is like, they're freaking Hansel and Gretel. Their dad abandoned them. But Henry knows that their dad must be somewhere in town because nobody leaves Storybrooke. Then Henry asks Emma to tell him about his father. Emma says they met when she was young, right when she got out of the foster system. Henry's dad was training to be a fireman, and they met at the restaurant that she worked at. They didn't get married, but they had a really happy relationship. But then his life got better and her life got worse. So she ended up in jail. And right before she went to jail is when she found out about Henry. She tried to call the dad, and she found out that the dad had died saving a family from a burning apartment building. She says that his dad was a real hero. Henry asks if she has anything of his dad's that he could have. Emma says no, but then that makes her realize how she might be able to find the missing dad for the kids. So Emma goes to the children and she shows them her baby blanket, which is like what she was wrapped in when she was found on the side of the road. And she's like, this is the only thing I have from my parents. I don't know anything else about them, but I've kept it forever because it means a lot to me. What do you little twerps have from your dad? Ava is like, if you promise we won't be separated, I'll give it to you. And it's the compass. In the flashbacks, we see the kids go into the house. The blind witch is sleeping in front of the fire. Gretel sees the satchel that they need to get hung up on the wall, so she goes to get it. But freaking Hansel is an idiot boy, and he grabs a cupcake and just shoves it in his face. So then the witch wakes up immediately and she can smell them, which is so scary. And as she stands up from her chair, they see a pile of children's bones in front of the fireplace. Emma goes to Mr. Gold since he owns the pawn shop, and she's like, tell me what you know about this piece. He's like, wow, this is a very unique and special piece. I would know because I'm the one who sold it. He goes to get the records, and the guy's name is Michael. She asks what the price is for the information he's just given her, and he's like, forgiveness? And she's like, how about tolerance? He smiles and she leaves. But then we see the card that he pulled out of the little record thing because he's like, I keep record of all my sales. The card is freaking blank. Emma finds the dad and he's like, yeah, that's not possible. She never told me about any children. Also, he implies that it was like a one-time fling situation, so that would make the children twins? I'm sorry, but these are not twins, okay? That was one of the only examples of poor casting because that girl is several years older than that boy, all right? He says he absolutely cannot handle 2 kids, and Emma is like, dude, they need you. You have to step up and be their dad. And then she shows him the compass to prove that they're his children. She kind of explains a little bit about what happened with Henry and how she never expected to find him, but then she came to town and met him, and now she can't leave because she cares about him so much. And he makes a very good point, which is staying in town is not the same as taking them in. But she says the only reason why I don't have Henry is because I don't have that choice. And she tells Michael, I don't know if I told you guys that's his name. That's the name Rumple gives. This guy, Michael. We don't know his name from the forest. It doesn't matter. It's not important. She says he has a choice and he has 2 children that need him and he needs to do the right thing. But he says he doesn't know anything about being a dad, and if they need a good home, it's not gonna be with him. So Emma and Mary Margaret talk, and Emma is devastated. Mary Margaret is like, maybe they'll handle it okay, you know, you told Henry the truth about his dad and he's taking it great. And Emma is like, oh my God, you idiot, I lied. Henry's dad wasn't a hero, he was a piece of trash. Regina shows up and interrupts them and is like, Miss Swan, what are you doing? Shouldn't you be on the way to Boston? Get the children and leave. In the flashback, the blind witch locks the children in a creepy little pantry section and she starts like feeling their arms and calling them tender and stuff. No. Gretel has a plan, but again, her little brother is too afraid to do it, so she steps up because she's the older sister and is like, I can do it in your place. So she pretends to be the little brother so that the witch takes her out of the cell. Then she snatches the key from her, throws it back to the brother. He unlocks the cage while the sister's being taken to the oven. While he's getting a weapon to whack the witch over the head and knock her out, he falls, and then the witch figures out that they're trying to run. They get into a fight, and it ends with the children grabbing the witch, throwing her on a rolly cart, shoving her into the oven, and locking her inside. I know that's what she's done to the children, but oh my God. Regina is watching from one of her freaky little mirrors and she throws a fireball through the mirror that goes into the oven with the witch and like lights her on fire. Hello? The kids go to Regina and bring her the satchel. She pulls out a red apple. That's right, the apple that she uses on Snow. The kids are like, okay lady, we did what you wanted. Where's our father? We'd like to be reunited with him, please. And Regina is like, children, your father abandoned you. You've impressed me though. I think you should stay here with me. She's all excited because they did what no other children that she'd sent into the house could do. Remember the pile of bones, okay? That's all I'm gonna say about that. So she basically offers them like their wildest dreams come true if they'll agree to live with her. Hansel looks ready to say yes, okay? He's giving Edmund from Chronicles of Narnia, he's like, this could be nice, this could be a good setup for me and you, sister. But the sister is like, absolutely not, where's our father? We wanna go with him. We need to be together, we're a family. So the evil queen is like, good luck finding each other, and like sends a gust of wind to take the children away. Emma's taking the kids away to Boston. Henry is like, Emma, you don't understand. You can't take them out of Storybrooke. Something bad will happen. And she's like, Henry, something bad has already happened. As they drive away, Regina smiles. On the way out of town though, the car breaks down and Emma has to call for help. In the castle, the evil queen is watching Snow White meet with the dwarves while she like holds the red apple and is just like, ha ha ha, my evil plan is coming to fruition. She brings in the kid's father that she's just had tied up and he's like, I want to see my children, where are they? She says, oh, I told them you abandoned them and then I sent them far, far away. Then she gets all up on him and she's like, I want to know why I offered your children everything they could ever want and they still said they didn't want to live with me. What's up with that? He says it's because they're a family and family always sticks together and finds one another. This hurts Regina. She has the guards release him and says that they can all be a family again as soon as they all find one another. Then we see the kids waking up in the forest, lost and confused with the compass. Inside the car, waiting for help, Ava is holding the compass in her lap and it starts to move. Emma called the dad because, surprise, surprise, Michael owned the mechanic shop. So he's the one that shows up in the tow truck. He can see the kids waiting in the back of the car, but they don't know who he is. She tells Michael that she didn't think she could be a parent either, and she gave Henry up to make sure he had his best chance at life. But now that she knows him and she's with him, she can't imagine ever giving up on him like that again. So Michael changes his mind and goes to the children, and Emma's just crying. She's so excited. Emma goes home to Mary Margaret, absolutely thrilled. Mary Margaret is like, this is an incredible end to this story. This is amazing, Emma. I'm so proud of you. Emma is feeling very emotional and she's like, I wonder what that would be like to find my parents. And Mary Margaret is like, you can't give up on looking for them. What if they're looking for you too? Like, you'll find each other. This is when Emma tells Mary Margaret Henry's theory, and Mary Margaret is like, me? Snow White is your mother? What? She's not even freaked out a little bit. She just thinks it's a really sweet idea, and she like reaches over and touches Emma and is like, you do kind of have my chin, which is just painful because that really is her daughter. While they're leaving the room, Mary Margaret sees Emma's baby blanket and she like picks it up and she's like, this is such a beautiful blanket. And she smells it and then she's like, oh, what? And she puts it down. I could not get over that moment. It's so sweet. What the heck? Emma is in the squad car, like working, and Henry for some reason is out at night, and he brings Emma pumpkin pie because that's the dessert that she told him she used to eat with his dad. So he's like trying to be sweet about it, but like it's the middle of the night. It's very dark. I don't know why Henry's out and about alone at this hour. While they stand by the car, a guy drives into town on a motorcycle. He parks across the street and comes over to them. He says, "Is this Storybrooke?" They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Any place to stay around here?" Emma's like, "You can get a room at the inn." And he's like, "Thank you so much." He goes to leave and she's like, "Hey, I didn't catch your name." He turns around and goes, "That's because I didn't give it to you." And then he drives away. Emma looks down to Henry and is like, "I thought you said strangers never came to Storybrooke." And Henry goes, "They don't." Yikes! That's where we're gonna end today. I'm so excited to talk about Motorcycle Boy. Love him. He's one of my faves. Ooh, can I tell you guys my faves without you guys figuring out who they are? I love Graham. I love Motorcycle Boy. I love the secret third darling son. We'll get to that later. That is a confusing one. I really love He Who Must Not Be Named. Oh my god. There's a lot of characters in this show that I'm just so excited about. You know who I don't like though? Ice Cream Lady. I can't stand Ice Cream Lady. She makes my skin crawl. She's in something else. When we get to her, I'll figure out what other show she was in, but she made my skin crawl in that too, guys. She is just creepy. There's something about her that I do not enjoy. But I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I don't want you to miss the next episode, okay? I'm here every Friday talking about Vampire Diaries and Monday talking about Once Upon a Time, and I don't want you to miss out on any of these details, okay? We don't want you coming back here 10 episodes from now being all confused, all right? I can't wait to talk to you guys down below. I hope you had such a good weekend and that your week is starting off strong, and I will see you so soon. Have a good one. Bye.